Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Y'all know Mondays are my days. All right. If you didn't do too well last week, you got a new week to start over, to try it again, to establish new goals, or to try to meet the goals you didn't meet last week, or to try to take your goal up that you met last week. And, you want to push the bar further. So, happy Monday. All right, this is Jill. If this is your first time on this channel, I am Jill Smith. I am one half of the Smith Serve. The Smith Serve is all about serving. We are a consultancy firm, I should say. We service public entities, agencies, government agencies with all kinds of services. But our primary client is nonprofit founders. We have a heart for nonprofit founders, those who have founded nonprofits 5 years or less, those who are new in the game. And so that's where our heart is. That's what this channel is all about, is helping nonprofit founders primarily. So if that is you, you are in the right place. If you are seeing this video on YouTube, please make sure that you click the link below and join our Facebook group, Founders of Nonprofits, because that's the group where it is a whole bunch of like-minded people like you, who are having successes and challenges, and they're posting them there. The great thing about that group, they're also nonprofit attorneys, nonprofit accountants, other nonprofit consultants and professionals who are dropping advice. There are founders there who are giving their best practices and sharing tips and all that kind of stuff and recommendations. And so you definitely want to go over there. If you are in the Facebook group and you're seeing this video, make sure you subscribe to this video, because this is where, a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing that, could also be paid, that people pay me for, I am giving over here. I am dropping some gems and some jewels over here. So make sure you subscribe. If you want to work with me, if you want some one-on-one time with me, please click the link below and book a discovery session with me, and we can meet on Zoom, and I can hear your challenges and your concerns or your vision, and I can help put some strategy to it, give you some strategy, some recommendations to get you to the next level, because we're all about getting you to that major grant funding so that you can do things you need to do in your community. All right. I am happy to announce again and again and again that we have partnered with Instrumental. Instrumental is an all-in-one grants database platform, and is a management platform. So you find a grant, it manages that grant announcement. You put a proposal out, and so it is an awesome, robust platform. You wonder why, how people are getting multiple grants. It's because they're tapped into databases. They're tapped into databases, and so a good grants database should definitely be an expense in your budget. You need one, just like you have a donor management platform. You definitely need a grants management database, and so I highly recommend Instrumental. It is everything that I knew about grants databases on steroids. So I highly recommend it. You can try it for free for 14 days. You can try it for free. So go down, click the link, find you some grants. All right. And if you get a subscription, so you can try for free, but if you decide to purchase a subscription, you can use my discount code to get $50 off your first month. All right, $50 off. It is, when I tell you it's well worth it, it is well worth it. So yes, yep. All right. Do I have any other announcements? I think that's it for the moment. All right. Is your nonprofit grant funding ready? Is your nonprofit grant funding ready? So I have to talk about this because I think this is misconception. On one hand, I hear, there is this thing that's being pushed. There's so much grant funding out there. There's so much grant funding out there. It is. It is. It really is. But the other part of that no one talks about is that, are you eligible for it? are you eligible for that grant funding? And so that's another thing. And so it is a part of my responsibility to help you get ready for and prepare for and position and set up your nonprofit so that you can be major grant funding eligible. Because there's one thing to get a foundation grant, it's one thing to get one of those Walmart grants, that's wonderful. But to get a good government grant, a good grant that is going to last a couple of years, and that's going to be that six-figure grant, you got to be ready for it. So if you prepare yourself to get ready for a major grant, like a major government grant, then getting, your small foundation grants should be a piece of cake, a piece of cake. So what determines if your nonprofit is grant funding ready? What determines that? So let me just say, before I tell you, I'm going to tell you 5 things that's going to make sure that you get ready and that you make sure you're ready. Let me just first tell you that I was a grant proposal reviewer for the federal government. I worked for the federal government for 10 years. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in D.C. I was a program manager, but I also served as a grant proposal reviewer, reviewed several departments' grants on a regular basis as a part of my job. And I also, I was responsible for, my grantees under my program, which was, I think I had 12 grantees and close to 60 sub-grantees. So under those 12 grantees, they had grantees. And so the sub-grantees, I had to do site visits to all of them. And so I had to, manage after they got the grant, I had to, manage their reports and go do site visits and all that stuff. So I know what the government is looking for in grant proposals. And so I want to make sure you get there. So there are 5 things I want to make sure that that will determine if you're grant funding ready, if you are grant funding ready. And so I don't want you to overlook this because, you can have the best idea and the best vision possible. But if these things are in place, you're going to be overlooked. And let me just say this, grants are competitive. So and so everyone is putting their best foot forward. And so it's just like running a race. So if you ain't got, your the best Nikes and laced up, and you don't have, you're not working out in a gym, and you're not ready. You're not ready, and you're probably not going to win that race. So let me give you the 5 things that is going to ensure that's going to help to, let me say that's going to help to ensure that you're grant funding ready. And so the first thing is that you need to make sure that there's a need. You need to make sure that there's a need, because you can have the best idea for a teen pregnancy program, and you're going to do X, Y, and Z for these teen pregnant moms, and you're going to do it. And then, you want to put that program in an area like, I don't know, like a Cary, North Carolina, where there's not a teen pregnancy issue. So make sure, first of all, that there is a teen pregnancy issue or need. There is a need for whatever your vision is. You have to make sure that there's a need. I remember I was working with a client years ago, and they, had a vision for a teen pregnancy program. They were once teen pregnant moms, and so they wanted to, their story. They wanted professionals by the time they came to me in their careers, and so this is their give back. And so, but when we did the research, come to find out that there was not a teen pregnancy issue in a major city that once was. There once was a teen pregnancy issue. There was no, and it had declined significantly for a number of reasons. A lot of teens were going to alternative lifestyles. A lot of, there was a whole turnaround where who knew, unless you did the research, there was not a teen pregnancy issue. So the very first thing is that whatever your vision is and your mission is, you got to make sure that there is a need for that, that the services you're going to provide. But not only that, not only do you have to make sure that there's a need, you have to make sure that those who need your services, you got to prove that they are asking for it. You've got to prove that they are asking for that there's a population out there that are asking for this help, this type of help. So you got to be strategic in how you do this, and how you say this on paper in your proposal, because you got that is one things that they're going to look for. I'm going to give you this money. If I'm going to give you, how do we know that is there a need? Is there a need for it? All right. So the second thing is your vision and mission, your vision and your mission, and of course it goes on the backs of the need. And so what type of programs and services are you going to provide? So for instance, if there is a need for support for teen pregnancy moms, or teen pregnant, yeah, it's for teens who are pregnant and young and teen moms. Let's just say that there is a need in the community for that. But say that your mission is to provide career services for these teen moms. That don't match, because these are teens and they're not ready for careers just yet. Perhaps your mission and your programs can be providing some services for them with their schoolwork to make sure that they graduate from high school. So you have to make sure that your vision and your mission meets they got to all mesh the need, the population you're serving, and the programs and services that you're providing. They've got to all mesh and meet, and they got to all be match the research and the statistics that are out there from other government agencies, as well as that when you're putting all this together, make sure that you get credible stats from government agencies in that local community. All right. So if you have that is a big chunk of making sure that your nonprofit is grant funding ready. All right. So the third thing is that accountability. So you got this, there's a need, you have a wonderful vision and mission and all that great stuff, but now you have to have accountability. So you're the visionary, and of course you have in a perfect nonprofit, you have a strategist as well that's going to be doing the work and putting the programs and stuff together and all that good stuff, and managing the internals of the operations and all that great stuff. But you also got to have accountability. So we, as grant proposal reviewers, or as a former grant proposal reviewer, what we're looking for is that you have a solid board in place. And on that board, say if you have a nonprofit, say if you have a teen pregnancy program, we would like to see a teen pregnant person on that board. So we're looking at your accountability and where you're getting direction from and who are you being accountable for. So if we decide to give you this money, that you have some accountability in place, not only just a good board, good board officers who have some good credentials, but we're also looking to see if you have advisors, if you have an accountant, a CPA, if you have an attorney in place. So some good advisors as well as your board. So accountability, we're looking for that. All right. So a need goes in your need, that there's one is a need, two is vision and mission, three is accountability. The fourth thing that we're looking for that you have systems in place. Systems in place. If we're going to give you this money, do you have the capacity to manage this grant? And so a lot of organizations, what happens is that they lack the capacity to manage, like, say, $100,000 grant. They don't have an accounting system in place. They don't have a good banker in place. They don't have someone that's serving as a CFO in their operations. So I always tell my clients that when you're putting in a grant proposal, you want to put resumes in there of these are the people who you're going to either hire if you get the funding, or these are the people that are already working on a consulting basis, or these are people that are working part-time or what have you. But you want to put a good resume in place for a CFO or someone who has that financial background. You want to put that in the proposal as well, to say that you have systems in place to manage the money, to make sure that the money is going to be managed correctly. All right. So there's a need. Two, you have a vision and a mission to meet that need. 3, you have accountability that's going to hold you to the fire to meet that need. 4, you got systems in place and people who are going to effectively and professionally be able to manage the money, manage that grant. And then 5, the thing that confuses everybody, but I've got to say this, and I'm going to probably confuse you even more. You got to have a sustainability plan. So that says that for whatever reason, if we don't give you this, you said there's a need. But if we don't give you this money, how will you sustain this program that you said is a need in your? How will you deliver these services without our money? How will you deliver these services if we give you the money, but then say someone comes in office and we got to take the money back? How will you maintain these services if, for whatever reason, the money dries up? How will you maintain the need? How will you continue to support the need? And so a good sustainability plan, you cannot just rely on grants. You have to have a good nonprofit has multiple revenue streams. All right, multiple revenue streams, whether it's fee for service, it could be fee for service, it could be foundation grants, it could be government grants, it could be sponsorships, it can be in-kind donations. Of course, you know, your individual donors should be on point. Speaking of individual donors, if you have not gotten the financial campaign planner, you need to get that. I'll put the link at the bottom also for that. The financial campaign planner, you need that. And that is to get your individual donors up and running, up and running, up and running. You need to be doing an ask on an ongoing basis, because your individual donors is going to bring in revenue on a consistent basis that can help to sustain, say, this program that you're trying to get this grant funding for. So that can be a part of the sustainability plan to say, listen, we have consistent individual donors that on a monthly basis, we bring in an X amount, a number of funds just from our individual donors and our recurring donors. And so that can be a part of your sustainability plan. But we want to see that. We want to see how will you sustain this program that you say is needed and that the community say is needed if for some reason the funds dry up or if you don't get this grant. All right. So they want to see that. All right. I hope this helps. And if you have those things in place, and you know your grant funding ready. Now, I will say realistically, when you're first starting out, you're probably not going to be grant funding ready, which is okay, but you can get there. All right, you can get there. And there are also other grants that you can go after, like the Walmart grant and the Ford Imprint grant, and there's so many other smaller grants that you can go after. And that's why you need a grants database. That's why you need a good grants database, so that you can see what the eligibility is for different grants, so that you can go after, so that you can build your organization's revenue. All right. So I hope this helps. Drop some questions below. You can also always go into the Facebook group and post questions and all that great stuff. All right. So I'll see you on the next video. You all be blessed and have a prosperous week with your nonprofit. All right. Bye-bye.